Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Sheera Goren. How are you, Sheera?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So we usually allow our guests to introduce themselves, so the stage is yours.
Sure. So my name's Sheera Goren, born and raised in Southern California. I think the only notable thing is that I was not a swimmer growing up, which is why we set down this path to create Zygo, which is the only underwater streaming headset for live communication. A coach can coach you, but then also you can listen to music, a podcast. We have an app of guided workouts similar to Peloton, and we really started this being customers ourselves, trying to seek out a fun way to swim as an adult, because I don't know when that inflection point is, when it became intimidating and solitary and not as fun as when you were a kid. And so we realized very quickly there was no streaming option out in the world, and we wanted to purchase one. And so instead we decided to create it.
Okay, so can you explain? I'm not getting it exactly. So streaming device for swimming?
Yeah, so you put the headset on, you're able to Bluetooth connect your phone to the transmitter, and then the transmitter sends a radio signal to the headset where it's bone conduction, so it doesn't go in your ears, and then you're able to hear, whatever's playing from your phone directly into the headset as you swim.
That's incredible. So you're underwater with it?
Yeah, exactly. So it works above water too, but it's optimized for water.
Okay,
so the same way you would put on a playlist when you go on a run, same thing you can do with our headset.
It sounds genius. Do you have one with you?
I don't.
Do you have one with you right now? You can show us.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
If you don't mind.
Tour here.
Sure.
Let me just grab my swim bag. And so it comes in a charging case like this. You can charge it as you go. And then the full set is a transmitter, because Bluetooth doesn't penetrate water. So you also need the radio frequency. And then the headset goes on just like this, right over your ears. Leaving your ears open for comfort and safety. The sound quality is better underwater than above water. It sits right on your head. Our goal is for it to become invisible as you swim. And then the transmitter, if you're just using it as yourself, you put it on the side of the pool, but it also has a one-way walkie-talkie functionality, so someone can communicate with you,
call you
in real time. Well, not call you on the phone, because you're not talking back underwater, but someone can coach you.
But just walkie-talkie into your headset, right?
Right.
So you mentioned it doesn't go in the ear. So if it's over your ear, it just kind of penetrates underwater. It just kind of the waves go, and you hear the waves. How does that work?
No, bone conduction as a technology has been around for a while. That wasn't our invention. It actually sends some vibrations, and so it skips. Technically, It skips your inner cochlea in your ear, and so you're able to hear. So, some hearing aids use bone conduction. It's a way of being able to hear without just having sound waves go into your ears. But because the conductivity of water, it sounds better underwater than above water.
That's awesome. So, did you have this entrepreneur spirit in you from the beginning, or is this your first venture?
My grandfather was pretty entrepreneurial, and so I think it was always interesting, the kind of macro idea of being your own boss. And then I went to law school and I started working as a lawyer, and I think very quickly learned that like the typical 9 to 5 wasn't for me. And during that time, I started a nonprofit that was my first foray into entrepreneurship. And I think once I did that, even though the business model didn't really work and it's not, it couldn't be like a full-time job, making your own decisions, building something from scratch, learning very quickly what you're not good at. I think that really solidified the idea that, when I would search for something new, that my happiest would be doing my own thing, building something I believe in.
And how long has it been now since you invented this thing?
Our corporate certification is 2017. It took us about 3 years to develop. We only started shipping in September of 2020. So relatively speaking, we just hit our 2-year mark in market, but it's been about 5 years.
And how's it doing in the market? Must be great.
It's good. I mean, during COVID, I think everyone felt different effects. We were sold out for all of 2021. I think a combination of product market fit and just inventory issues. So we weren't getting a lot, but we also were selling out before we even got the stock. And since the beginning of this year, we have inventory and we're continuing to improve and launch, a bit of different SKUs. But overall, we're happy with the progress. It's exciting to now see like little micro communities popping up in different cities of people who see each other using it at a pool and then they order it because they saw someone else.
Yeah.
And, that's like the best feeling when we get that sort of feedback.
Yeah, that's an incredible feeling. And I read somewhere that during COVID, home pool sales just skyrocketed. So they couldn't find anyone to build them a pool in the house because everyone was, because they had nothing to do, nowhere to go. So they decided to build a pool. So that probably helped with this as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think swimming being one of the only sports that you could do just because, COVID couldn't live in chlorine, and people who are swimmers kind of proved that you could rent a lane time. So it was very hard to find lane time. Endless pools were going crazy because they're a smaller footprint, which definitely helped. And then I think also the fact that, you can take our product, you can use it in your home pool, you can use it in a public pool, you can use it in an endless pool, you can take it on vacation, it can go with you wherever you go, is also helpful in terms of just like the ability to use it, not just in your home, but also outside.
Yeah. And it's available on Amazon or your own site?
No, it's just available on our website.
Okay. What's the site?
Shopzygo.com.
Okay. That's great. And are you planning on doing anything else with this? Are you creating a new model or advancement in this technology?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly trying to improve audio quality. Like we kind of see it, similar to Apple and Bose weren't built in a day, and their first product was probably a much different audio experience than their current product, and they've had, trillions of dollars in years, and so every firmware release, we're trying to increase audio quality, range, battery life, and then we're also coming out with like a power case where it charges itself, similar to the AirPods case, and some other iterations just to get the best product possible. I think our main feature enhancement is in combination with our app, which is not mandatory to use it. You can stream whatever, but we have an app of guided content similar to Peloton where it's like a 30-minute swim. It's guided, it's paired to music. But we're building in functionality so you can have real-time battery indicator. And then what we think is the stickiest is metric tracking. So after every swim, every workout, the distance you swam and the laps that you have. And so, then we can start to play around with gamification and adding to maybe like a leaderboard, or like if you had a family target as a family, you wanted to hit a certain distance or that sort of stuff, which to us is like, as consumers, that's what we like. So that's what we're working towards, is just, we're learning a lot about how and what it takes to get there, as a small company.
Yeah, Sheera, like one of the passions when I created this show was to meet people like you, to create these things, like these ideas. It's very exciting to me to hear this stuff. And congratulations to you for putting this
Appreciate
together.
that.
And I hope you continue to come up with ideas. But let me ask you this: when you thought of this idea, initially you must have, like, what did you feel? Did you feel overwhelmed, or what did you feel initially when you thought of the idea? And then what steps did you take to figure out how to put this idea together?
I think, I'm a pretty type A person, so I usually like certainty and knowing what my next step is. But if it were really go back to the beginning, the genesis of this was actually a class. Like, my co-founder and I wanted to do a triathlon, and we wanted to take a class similar to SoulCycle, Barry's Boot Camp. There's Pilates, boxing, all those classes. And for swim, the only options were aqua aerobics geared towards my grandma, or like a really intimidating master's swim. And so our first business was called Swim Team, and we wanted to create a 45-minute class similar to what we would take in another category. And a big piece of that was like, how do you create the studio environment underwater? And when we tried to build on that, we tried above water speakers, below water speakers, anything that existed, and kind of hacked a headset together so you could hear music and the coach as you swam. And so we started those classes thinking that was our business. And very quickly, people kept asking us to buy the headset. So, I think at first starting the classes, I felt confident that there was a market for it because people were coming to the classes. Yeah. I felt excited by the opportunity of building something, but I also felt like I'm not sure that this is a sustainable business model, because we don't own the pools. Like, the margins are not the same since you don't own the whole pool in the studio. So then when it became clear everyone was asking about the hardware, it just felt like a very organic pivot where it was like, people want this. They're asking. Nice. It's not like us saying we think people will buy it. So I think the confidence level just increased, even though then we knew hardware would be much more expensive. It'd be much longer process. It's going to be extremely difficult. I don't think we understood exactly how difficult. But I think because we started with like a very small problem that we wanted to solve, and then it shifted into something bigger in a very natural way. It never felt like we were forcing anything.
Yeah, it's like the market kind of pushed and dictated this idea into form. You know what I mean? It just kind of, you just put it all together into this creation through ideas, innovations, testing. It's just great. I love this. Do you think it will ever be able to? Will you ever be able to create like in a earbud format?
We've toyed around with that. It's not impossible. It just, there are some things that exist that are in the MP3 players. Some are in ear, but they constantly fall out, or people don't like things in their ear. They get waterlogged. Also, the other thing that like we only learned by designing it is that having a wearable, having it on people's heads, every head is created differently. And because ours is just over your ears, then that's only like one thing it has to fit. We've built some 3D models of headsets that go in ear, and it adds a lot of complexity because everyone's head's different. And so also everyone's ear location's different and size is different. Again, it's not impossible, just probably not in the next few years.
It probably helps you guys to have that band, like you mentioned, like it has the branding on it, right? It has a name on it on the back.
It doesn't. It's just on the side.
No, it doesn't.
But the branding is only on the side piece, like right here. It says Zygo.
I thought I saw something. This piece. Oh yes, yes. Okay. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The band in the back is actually where
'Cause
the antenna lies, so it's kind of necessary.
So are you manufacturing this in which country?
In China, in Shenzhen.
Oh, so you able to find the right people there, or did you have to fly down there? Like, did you arrange everything from hometown, or?
Yeah, we did 3 factory scouts, and met with a bunch just because our product is so technical. We had to find, a factory that could handle at least some of the tech and then put it all together. So we kind of have an intricate logistics system set up there, where we have people who can manage different parts of building the product, but feel pretty lucky that we found our factory partner.
Yeah, that's great. You find the right partner. It's a game changer, because it could,
Right.
not to be negative, but you could have selected the wrong partner and then created the inferior product. But now you were blessed to find a good partner to create this ideal product for you. Would you consider,
Right.
or are you thinking of adding it to Amazon?
Probably not in the immediate future. I think having control over our distribution and customer experience is pretty integral to our growth and success.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I wouldn't say never. I just think that we're still too young to even support the margins Amazon pulls and the inventory that they would need.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like an inevitable play at some point, but I think being more established, having more inventory, and having like a much bigger audience base is very important for a young company.
That's great. We like to ask our guests what their inner superpower is that got them to this point.
Yeah, I think if I had to answer that immediately, it'd just be my resourcefulness. I do not know most of the answers.
Nice.
I just know where to find it. I'm smart enough to know what I don't know and constantly learning. But I think it's just a matter of like having the ability to find the answers. And, I think that's all it is about being an entrepreneur. You don't have to know everything. You don't even have to have a background in what you're building. It's just finding those people.
Yeah, being resourceful is super important, and definitely you displayed it with this product. I love the concept. I love the idea. People in the audience, definitely give this product a try and see for yourself. Be able to listen to stuff underwater and swimming is phenomenal. It's great. Definitely something to look at, and check out her website, their social media. And Rena, if there's any final words that you would like to share with the audience, anything that you would suggest or recommend, anything that you want to provide, any value to the audience, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like a lot of people hear the product and they're like, "Oh, I'm not a swimmer." And I think, the same thing could have been said about spinning and running. And our hope is to make swimming more accessible and a more fun experience. You don't have to be an Olympian to be a swimmer. And then I think on the entrepreneur side, that like the biggest thing is just getting started. And if you have an idea, if you see a need, it's like just do something, and you might learn that that's not a worthwhile endeavor. But I think a lot of people just like don't start. And I think once you start talking to people about it, or you take that first action step, you learn a lot.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much for joining us again today. Just remember to visit my website, shahidurrani.com, or my social media pages, engage with our guests' website and social media pages, share this information, share this episode, spread the beauty that these entrepreneurs are adding into our world. and any knowledge you gain, take action on it. It's super important. And thank you so much for being an awesome guest and taking the time to be on our show.